Today I'd like to give a little update on the church in Nigeria in terms of some of the problems the church has been running into there, particularly in the north of Nigeria. More than 52,000 Christians have died since 2009. It's been caused by Islamist terrorist groups, as I said, primarily in the north. It is actually called by the perpetrators of the violence a jihad. So, as we know, that term jihad, used by a lot of our Islamic sisters and brothers, is really just a term of devotion to Allah, praise be Allah, that type of really sense of dedication to their faith, and really is not associated with violence for the vast majority of the followers of Islam. But for certain terrorist groups, jihad means a war, and it means violence, and it seems to be happening here in the north of Nigeria. The question that has been raised by many Nigerian Christians is, why don't the leaders of Nigeria do more to stop it? And it could be a difficult situation in terms of getting troops there in time, and a lot of times they just don't seem to get the protection from the government that they feel they deserve. With all of those Christians that have died, nobody has been arrested, and nobody has been prosecuted, which seems very strange to us as we look at that. Certainly with that great number of people that have died, you would think that there would be prosecutions, people would be arrested, there would be some attempt made to stop it. There was a Fulani raid, for example, last Christmas. Hundreds were murdered during that raid. There are in Nigeria 2.2 million internally displaced persons, and they have established camps in Makurdi. So what happens is they are driven out of their homes, those that have survived the persecution, and they are now in camps, and they're thinking as well, I had a home, and now I don't have one. I'm just living in a camp. Why is this? Can't my government protect me in a better way? In a lot of those camps, there is no adequate sanitation, no reliable supplies of food, and no clean water. Many camps also are unprotected, so the people that are fleeing go into a camp and they're afraid that they will be attacked while they are in the camp as well. The Fulani raiders come from other countries. They come from Chad, Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. So it's not so much that they are from Nigeria, but from these other countries, and they're coming in the north, and people are saying, can't something be done about this? We see, as a result of it, razed villages, burned churches, killed priests, and slaughtered villagers. So really an awful situation for the people. Sharia law has been imposed in 12 of the northern states. So again, why is this happening to the people? Why is this other system of law now being imposed, whereas aren't we part of Nigeria? Shouldn't we be under their laws? The United States has dropped Nigeria from the list of countries of particular concern. Those are countries where there are human rights abuses or religious freedom issues. House Resolution 82 called for the State Department to restore Nigeria to this list because it would seem obvious that there is this type of persecution going on. People are being killed. Churches are being burned. Why are you saying that this country is not a country of particular concern when it actually is? So there is some back and forth, and some people say it's because of a trading relationship the United States has established with Nigeria, and that is the complication, the business interests. And if you put this country on the list, there are certain restrictions, and so a lot of the business leaders are upset with that. Nigeria is the second largest trading partner with the United States in Africa. So to complicate that relationship, certainly business interests would not be happy with that. But again, you have to balance that with what's happening in the country, what's happening to the people. U.S. Agency for International Development delivers more than $1 billion in annual assistance to Nigeria. So they do get a lot of money from the United States. Nigeria's new president is Bola Tinubu, and there's hopes that maybe he can help the situation. The International Religious Freedom Act is an act that really tries to protect the freedom of religion around the world. And they are saying that this situation doesn't meet the threshold. But when you look at the numbers and the extent and the duration, you wonder about that. Certainly, there seems to be a religious persecution going on. One of the things that you have to factor in, of course, also is the trauma that is suffered by the survivors. So it's not just the number of casualties, but those who survived and have seen what has been going on, seen the death happening in front of them. That's a real terrible, terrible situation for them. There are 103 million Christians in Nigeria, 47% of the nation's population of 222 million. So it's an extensive number of Christians. Most Christians are in the south. The north is mostly Muslim, and of course what's happening in the north. So there are many more Muslims there, whereas the Christians predominantly located in the south. Now, the Middle Belt states are the home to the most violence. So what's happening is you have the north, which is predominantly Muslim, the south, which is predominantly Christian, then you have this middle area, and so it seems like those in the north are trying to encroach further to the south. What are some of the groups that are involved? The Fulani militants and bandits, the Boko Haram, the Islamic State West African Province terrorists, are three specific groups that are involved in this violence. And as we said, more than 52,000 Nigerian Christians have been murdered. More than 30,000 under President Muhammadu Buhari. So again, there was a thought, well, so many are being murdered. What's being done about it? Where's our protection? Nobody being prosecuted. Difficult situation. Also, not just Christians, but 34,000 moderate Muslims have died in Islamist attacks since 2009. So if you are a Muslim and you're more moderate, you're not out for a violent type of situation, those are also getting caught up in this, and they're murdered as well. 18,000 churches have been destroyed. 2,200 Christian schools have been destroyed in attacks since 2009. So you can see the extent of it. More Christians are killed for their faith in Nigeria each year than the rest of the world combined. So you can see the extent of that and say, you stop and say, well, this is unbelievable and something should be done about this. 82% of Christians killed for their faith around the world were in Nigeria, according to the group Open Doors. Countries where the Christians are most persecuted seem to be North Korea, Somalia, Libya, Eritrea, Yemen, and Nigeria. So Nigeria would be sixth on that list. 9 out of 10 religiously motivated killings in Africa take place in Nigeria. 9 out of 10, so it shows you how extensive it is. 25 million people in Nigeria experienced food insecurity in 2023, an increase from the 17 million in 2022. So you see how extensive it is in terms of the problems there. What can we do about it? I think to make ourselves more aware of it and to support our Christian sisters and brothers in any way we can, and hopefully to ask the government to give them more protection and help them instead of being driven out of their homes, give them the protection that they need so they can live in safety and thrive. Any type of violence is something that we certainly take a stand against, and violence that is proclaimed in the name of religion is certainly something that is a total contradiction, because we know all of our religious teachings are based on sharing peace with our sisters and our brothers. So the hatred, the violence must stop. And when we look at the situation in Nigeria, We say it is awful, it's terrible, and we have to take a stand against it.